Please be seated. On behalf of Vidyanagar School of Information Technology, I'm delighted to welcome the keynote speaker, Mr. Daniel Ma, and chief guest, Mr. Sridhar Ramachandran. Vidya Lankar, rooted in the Sanskrit words Vidya, meaning knowledge, and Alankar, meaning jewel, embodies their commitment to academic excellence. Managed by Vidya Lankar Jnanapeeth Trust, VSIT was established in 2002. VSIT is affiliated to the University of Mumbai and has been reaccredited with A grade by NAAC. With 3,000 plus students and 77 full-time faculty members, it offers 7 undergraduate programs, 5 postgraduate programs, and a PhD program in business. Everyone. Welcome all VCMT 2025, International Multi-Disciplinary Conference on the theme of sustainability. There are 3 institutions on this campus, as Lakshmi just said, on this 11-acre campus. And all these 3 institutes have always realized the importance of growth with sustainability. We try to inculcate the greener habits, sustainable habits in the minds of all our stakeholders in various ways. Every year, we have a memorial lecture in the name of our founder, late Professor P.S. Deshpande. And in the year 2017, we had a very informative lecture by Dr. Kirit Parikh, a Padma Bhushan awardee and a very renowned environmentalist, who presented before us the model of how growth with low carbon strategies go hand in hand with all our socio-economic academic objectives. He discussed the importance of technology in maintaining and enhancing the sustainability. We have a techno-savvy campus here in Vadala. We aim at adopting latest technologies in all our operations, in our teaching learning methods, and in all our beyond syllabus activities. So we were highly inspired by Dr. Kirit Parikh's thoughts on this. As a routine practice, we have incorporated the sustainable development goals into our academic and non-academic activities. And we persistently work towards practicing and creating the awareness about nurturing our environment, not just a natural environment, but even human considerations in the minds of our students. We want our students to be global citizens who are aware about all these things and who have in their mind the feelings for every other living being. Organizing the conference on the similar theme and inviting support from the scholars in this respect is one of the steps towards our commitment towards the mother nature. We aim at following discipline ourselves and also finding technological solutions to the current environment-related issues, either through the research, which our teachers are encouraged to do, or through the projects of the students, where we have some kind of a social content, some kind of a problem solving related to environment or any other human related issues, or through direct involvement of our stakeholders into these types of activities. We have students studying in various disciplines on our campus, and particularly in VSIT. We have engineering students, information technology, management, commerce. Commerce includes banking and accounts and media. So we are able to cover all aspects of environmental awareness with the help of our students and teachers. From social media awareness to technological solutions to the environmental issues. Our students are working towards greener and cleaner India. Uh, we try to inculcate, imbibe these kinds of feelings from the students from day one. So our orientation is there with our students and the parents, and we show them this green campus. All the dignitaries today, they can come on any day on this campus, and you will find this campus to be as clean and as green as it is today. Uh, we are always fortunate to have speakers on such occasions who contribute a lot towards our wish to imbibe sustainable habits in the minds of our stakeholders. I'm really thankful to all the speakers of the day. We will be having basically two sessions, the first session of the speakers and the second session of the panel discussion. And I'm really glad to say that we have a very thoughtful experts related to our topic. And therefore we are really going to have a very nice good day today. I thank especially the speakers of this session, Ms. Dandy and Sridhar Ramachandran. I welcome you all to Vidyanagar campus. So I once again welcome all the participants of VCMT. These participants are from VSIT, our own college, and those who are presenting the paper today from outside college also. Hope this conference and the deliberations that are going to happen with the experts brings innovative thoughts, practices, and technologies on this platform, which will help shaping country's policies towards economic growth and sustainability. Thank you. The word of guidance. I now invite Principal Ma'am, the keynote speaker, Dr. Daniel Ma, and Mr. Sridhar Ramachandran to kindly come to the dais. Now, based in New York, Mr. Daniel Ma is a highly skilled image processing scientist and machine vision expert with a strong track record in advancing cutting-edge technologies across various industries. Now, with a robust academic and professional background, Mr. Ma holds extensive expertise in developing innovative solutions that drive progress in engineering, research, and technology. Now, as the Vice President of Research, Development, and Engineering Science at Rockbridge, Daniel leads cross-functional teams in delivering complex, high-impact projects. His leadership, combined with technical proficiency and strategic vision, allows him to spearhead breakthroughs in the fields of machine vision, artificial intelligence, and image processing. A certified project management professional, Mr. Ma is passionate about fostering collaborative, solution-oriented environments, making him a sought-after resource in driving technological transformations. Welcome, sir, to Vidyalankar School of Information Technology. I request Principal Ma'am to felicitate our keynote speaker. Sridhar Ramachandran is a management strategy specialist. He is the founder of Darsha Advisors, a consulting firm in the areas of corporate strategy and governance, M&A, private equity, and ESG. Until recently, he served as advisor and chief investment officer of India Nivesh Renaissance Fund. He has held leadership positions in various roles, including Alphen Capital, Cadila Pharma, Breastcon Corporate Advisors, and many others. He is also a trustee at Muktanand Educational Trust. Mr. Ramachandran is a qualified chartered accountant, cost accountant, CPA from Colorado State, USA, and a commerce graduate from Madras University. He is also a certified independent director and ESG professional director. Welcome, sir, to BSIT. I request the Honorable Man to continue to speak around the meeting. Thank you, ma'am. I now invite our keynote speaker, Mr. Daniel Ma, for VCMT 2025 keynote address.
So hello, everyone. Thanks for being here on a Saturday morning. It's nice, bright and sunny. As you guys know, I'm from the US, and I've actually been here in India for about 8 months already. I've been seeing a lot of differences, been seeing some awesome things here in India. So my talk here, I'm going to talk about business leadership in sustainability and the difference in different perspectives between India and US. So one of the things here, as I mentioned, I've been here in India, I've been kind of discovering Mumbai, been walking around. One day I was walking around, I had a bottle of water with me, just walking around. Now Mumbai's great, India's great. There's some really nice parts of Bombay, and maybe parts of Bombay not so nice. Okay. And okay, let's be honest. There are parts of Mumbai that are a little let's just say it's dirty. There's trash around. So I'm just kind of walking around, had a bottle with water with me, and finished it. I'm looking for a trash bin. Okay, keep in mind I'm from the States. Okay, so I'm walking around looking for a trash bin, and I happen to see a vendor. I'm like, it kind of started sort of talking to him. And talking, and I had an empty bottle of water. I'm like, do you happen to have a trash? He looked around. So first of all, we had a slight language barrier. He looked around, he looked at me, and he just pointed to the side of the road and laughed, actually. Now, here's the thing, sustainability, protecting the environment, everybody knows what's the right thing to do, right? But in this particular situation, he was laughing was only because he knows what's the right thing to do. He knows my mentality, being a foreigner. I'm looking for a trash bin, and he's looking around going, side of the road. And the thing is that when you're in a certain situation where this part of Bombay is again, it's a little bit dirty. He knows that the right thing to do is to keep it in the trash, but he's literally surrounded by trash. So what's really the point, right? It's the environment that kind of creates this mentality of, well, I can't really do anything about it. This is not the right thing to do. But he wanted a trash bin, was right on the side of the road. And of course, he was laughing about it because of the irony, right? This is not the right thing to do, and we shouldn't be doing this, but look where we are. And I was laughing too, because I'm like, me as an American, where in my town, my city, you go to any street corner, there's a trash bin for the most part in most cities. So I'm laughing too, because I'm like, well, I just really just kind of do this, but that's what people do. That highlighted in my head sort of different mentalities, right? And then that's actually a driver of my talk here. The different perspectives. So sustainability, I want to look at the business leadership differences between the two countries at the very least. This is what I can kind of talk about. In the US, at least in terms of sustainability efforts, the US style tends to be very top-down oriented, right? You have like the CEO or the president, and they're saying, hey, we want to do this initiative, this ESG initiative, environment, social governance, sustainability, and all that type of stuff. So they would have this massive program try to basically save the world, and also kind of do it in such a way that is profitable, I guess, or maybe at the very least put that company on a map of being a leader of something sustainable. Whereas for the most part in India, what I've seen leadership or the style of sustainability from business leaders is that it tends to be more communal, right? More of a collective, more of saying, okay, what can I do to really help the community? Now, the other thing too is that the programs don't tend to be, yes, they're massive on one scale, but they also help rural India, right? They're small and they're micro in that sense, where, okay, how can I help this set of people quickly? Okay, I see there's a difference between the two styles, and kind of why is the first question, in back of my mind, what drives the American style to be this way, very, very gung-ho, boisterous, American, whereas the India side is more collective, it's more community oriented. So I was looking it up, kind of doing some research about it. Of course, there's a lot of different factors. And, if I wanted to be complete about this research, it would take us all day. I chose three. Of course, culture is a big driver for the difference. Socioeconomic context is as the second one that I see making a big difference. And third is actually just stakeholder focus. What's important to the stakeholders? What do they want? So going to culture. US tends to be, as a culture, US tends to be individualistic, right? I mean, again, that's just the way we were brought up and whatnot. So individualistic. The other part of it is individualistic, self-reliance, and also having that bold, boisterous style. Again, that's just your typical American. Maybe I'm stereotyping a little bit. I try not to be too much of one of those annoying, boisterous American. I can't help myself. But that's the culture of it in the US, right? We tend to be loud a little bit. It's like, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing, yay, yay, woo. Whereas India is, as a culture, again, tend to be more community focused, family focused. How can I help the community of people? So that in itself, the mentality already changed your leadership style, I should say, or your solution style. The second one is what I call the economic context, right? So on one hand, you have US, which is more developed, of course, more developed, where they have more resources available. And so basically they have money. So they are able to do projects that are a little bit more grandiose. They can, have these huge projects, long-term vision, the payback is not for another 10, 20, 30 years or something to that effect. Contrasting that to India, it's a developing country, in the economic sense. And okay, great. Got to have some resources. It's a little bit limited, but we have some resources. So how do we best spend these resources, right? Because I cannot wait for a payback that's, 30 years down the line. I don't have this much money. I have to have a payback now. And payback, of course, either in terms of business profits or how do I help the community. So that's, that tends to drive your solution already right off the bat. Number three is stakeholder focus. In the US, stakeholders tend to be more, well, either investors or even the consumer side of things. They tend to be more minded of, I want to patronize this company because they they have good ESG goals. Again, ESG stands for the environment, social, and governance. Right? No, is this company doing the right thing? It's all about perception, right? Is this a green company or not? Versus a quote unquote evil company that is polluting the world or whatever it is. So the consumers and investors tend to focus on that. Whereas in India, the stakeholders are more of, well, how can you help me now in terms of getting me clean water? How do you help me now in waste management, right? So it's a little bit more immediate, less grandiose, I guess, maybe not, I wouldn't call it grandiose, but it's more immediate, it's more practical, let's be honest. So those are the, kind of three factors, differences in between the US and India that kind of drives our solution. So let me kind of get into some case studies on what I'm talking about here. You guys obviously know Tesla. I've heard of Tesla. So Tesla being grandiose and boisterous and whatnot. You have Elon Musk that want to do these gigafactories. Okay, and these gigafactories are meant to be self-sufficient in terms of using 100% renewable energy. If you take one of his gigafactories, the one in Nevada, it's cost 10 billion USD to build, 86,000 crores, right? It's a little bit more money than I have in my bank account. So 10 billion USD, 5 million square feet. It's basically the size of 3 Taj Mahals. And again, it's designed to run entirely on renewable energy. The fact that it's been about almost 10 years now and he hasn't quite achieved it, that's a different story. But nevertheless, that was his solution. It's kind of like, I got this grandiose plan. Yeah, we're gonna have this really, really big factory, and it's gonna 100% run on renewable energy, producing EV batteries. I think this is what this factory is for. Conversely, one of the projects, Tata's Power Microgrid Initiative, right? Again, their idea is that they're going to build 10,000 renewable micro energy grids, these micro solar panels, right? And the idea is that you can provide clean, affordable, reliable energy to rural India. And also how they do it is, of course, they have to collaborate with all these local governments wherever they go. And it's going to impact 25 million people directly. If you think about these two solutions, yes, they're both green solutions, but one is, of course, super grandiose. It costs 10 million to build. It's not, let's be honest, it's not really helping anybody. It's not like, people are going to have more energy around Nevada or something to that effect, right? But what it does is that it does put Tesla on the map of saying, hey, look at this initiative that I'm doing. I'm saving the company, or I should say the company is green, right? We're doing our part, right? Versus here in India, it's, each microgrid, I don't have a number for a microgrid, but they're, even if you have 10,000 microgrids, it's not going to cost $10 billion, right? They kind of do a little bit. Certainly, they're doing a lot of the little bit parts, and that's of course what's really going to make a difference. But it's also directly impacts, people, right? You know, having, reliable energy, I mean, everybody needs that. So this is a really good, contrast between, um, cultures, if you will, between the two. I want to bring up, one more case study that's more related to my field. Again, you know, my background is in computer vision, and um, just, as these from various sources, that uses computer vision, and also use machine learning to provide environmental data. And that environmental data is for not being able to, this is very complete. The whole world uses it. Um, this, this smart round. This is false color in terms of, like, you know, through data processing and other sensors and all that type of stuff. This tells you sort of what the land is, you know, if there's any diseases and so on and so forth. I just kind of put it up there just in case you guys are not aware what I'm talking about. So again, you know, that's the difference between the US solution and India solution. Now, since I'm up here, being a US company, I think my CEO and my stakeholders, would be a little bit, disappointed if I don't quickly, tell you about my company a little bit. So let's talk about computer vision. Again, I'm from Robert, and we build a computer vision software that helps developers build image processing algorithms faster and easier. So kind of bringing this all around to computer vision. And I was talking about these solutions here. You know, they would be hopefully using our software to help doing this computer vision type stuff. But anyways, I just kind of want to put a really quick plug in there. But to close this talk here, my question to everybody, as you guys are going through these sessions is what is your sustainability leadership style, right? Who you are, of course, really drives your solution too. The situation around you also drives your solution. So keep that in mind. You're here in India or wherever your solution is going to be, will dictate your style and your solution. So thank you, everyone.
Sir, for your valuable insights. Your case studies to explain business leadership has helped clarify how cultures impact leadership styles and approach to innovative solutions. I now invite on stage our chief guest, Mr. Sridhar Ramachandran, to share his thoughts on the theme of the conference.
Thank you so much, and good morning to all of you. See, this is unfair. You can't be sitting very quiet when Mr. Ma speaks. You have to make some noise, right? Thank you. And I will start, we have been to temples. India is with temples. Why do the temple tower, which we call in Tamil gopurams, at the entrance of a temple? Can anyone guess why such huge temple towers are built at the entrance? Can anyone guess? Let me make it easier. Whenever there is a calamity in that area, all the people will go to step by step in the gopurams to save themselves. So when the natural calamity hits that area, whether it's a flood or any of that, and once you go inside, and even they used to say even certain diseases like cholera, if you want to protect yourself, you need to be isolated. And where will they get isolated? In the temple compound. Because there, the idols that are placed in those temples have been not just granite stones. There are a lot of things that go underneath. There is a magnetic force created in the earth that creates vibration which keeps all the diseases away. Are we believing in it? Yeah. So now you will remember when you enter a temple why such a huge gopurams are there with a lot of paintings. Each state has different way to reflect that temple gopurams. If you go to Tirupati, it's a plain white painting. If you go to Tamil Nadu, everything will be very colorful. If you go to Andhra, if you go to Maharashtra, there are various depictions. But at the end of the day, when you enter a temple, you have a gopura. So basically, it is to save people from natural calamities. And these temples were built thousands of years back. So environmentally, we were much more aware. I come from a village deep south, a temple town called Kumbakonam. Anybody knows a place called Kumbakonam? Great. And in my house, there used to be an open place in between where you walk around the living room to the kitchen and all of that, there will be open place. And we call Mitta. What is it for? The natural light, when it comes through that, it kills all the bacteria inside the house. And we see a lot of women here. Traditionally, we used to wash our outside the door with cow dung. How many of you know this? Right? Why do we do that? There is a medicinal property which keeps the insects coming inside. Right? Of course, we can't do it in our outside the flat. People will throw your society will say, no, you can't do that, right? And we had a situation in our society last week, mosquitoes are biting, a couple of people are sick with malaria. Why can't you do chemical flogging? Then we had done some research that chemical forming actually creates a lot more problem. And what these guys do, they come and start just doing like this. And it gets into the lift. And you get into the lift at that time, you can, and you don't have patience, right? Because it takes time to settle down. And you get into the lift and you start coughing. I say, "Ah," then you start to say, how can they do it when I'm in the lift? So reactions are very different. So sustainability is in our blood. We don't need to be taught by any person what is sustainability, right? So this is just a little background to bring our culture, what we did thousands of years ago. And today, when we see greenery, like how principal said, Bangalore used to be a green city, right? And I have been there in seventies, all of that. I used to love that place. It's so cool. Today, I don't want to go to Bangalore because it became a concrete jungle. I'm happy still in Bombay. My brother-in-law came last week for New Year from Boston. He said, Sridhar, I'm enjoying this place. I stay in New Bombay. And of course, you all know how New Bombay is. Everywhere there is greenery. I said, Maharashtra to a large extent has protected that greenery. Do you agree with me? And you go to any village, there's a lot of greenery around. People take care and a lot of trees are being planted, right? And it is in our culture. Now, how do we bring that value into our corporate lives or day-to-day lives? Now, I have a fight with my son who's in 12th grade. He's running stuff. He's writing a project on environment, how to save energy and all of that. But his AC is on. And you know what is the biggest complaint? 6 o'clock I get up. I get up little early, and 6 o'clock I go to the room first switch off this AC and put on the fan. Dad, put it on. I said, you're writing a project, right, on environment and they're saving energy. Don't give me this shit, right? And my electricity cost goes up. Your time is up. You have to either get up or sleep under the fan. And my father did it for me. So it does not matter whether it is your electricity bill or something, but consciously, we don't want something to happen, which it's a small. Yesterday, my wife had gone for a walk. So I was getting ready to go to office and my servant maid was opening the water. And for them, at home, they don't have water. They have a bucket of water. Here there is the running water. She opens like that, full gushing. And all to wash a small vessel. Then I told her, my dear girl, just hold on. I slowly brought it down to a particular level and said, this is what we should do. Just because the tank is coming, you should not do it. Thank you, uncle. But it is our job to teach them. Other way to look at it, oh, all these maids are like this. That's not right. She does not know. When she opens, because at her home, she has to take it in a small bucket. So this is how our sustainability starts. Okay, now let's come to the corporate world. Like, I will also criticize you for some. No, I studied with my CPA in Colorado State and all that. I have been doing a lot of business. I like to make fun. Because my whole family lives in the US and they come. At immigration last week, they stopped my brother-in-law. He said, how can they stop me? You know what? He landed in Chennai. He did not carry a OCI card, which is Overseas Citizen of India, and he gave some number. Those guys were nice enough to allow him inside the country. When he was exiting from Bombay, that guy said, Mister, your OIC card is yours. Then he gives his OCI card, now he got it scanned. He said, this is different to this. And of course, our immigration officials are very smart. And we never believed in systems. We believed in human intelligence. I went to US in 2001, just after September 11. I landed in New York. I had 6 passports by the time. Okay, I've traveled to more than 40 countries. This guy, and I used to have thick black mustache. Then he realized that Indian digitization has taken miles what US could not do. Am I right? Right? And digitization is helping in sustainability. Big time. You know, there is a, whenever we used to go to the shops, when you give for 4 rupees, you give 5 rupees. That fellow will give you, you may not have 1 rupee change. He will give 1 false or mix, a toffee. That business collapsed. You know why? Because they're doing GPay. He gets only 4 rupees. $1 billion business, 6,000 crore of toffee business gone down the drain. But it's good because your sugar intake has come down. Yes. So there are so many things that are happening. And when I come to US, they say, I look at each state, what in the US, do. All these big projects are definitely hallmarks of US. 22 states in the US are passing anti-ESG laws. They don't want, we don't want to go by what Europe does. And Europe learned a costly lesson when Russia-Ukraine war came. Right? They did not have gas, they did not have hot water, right? And it brings to the question. Now I will bring this topic to 3 things. Intention is for I. And second is your financing. And number 3 is innovation. You can put it whichever way. Sustainability has these 3 components, which today, because I don't want to give a lecture on what is sustainability, all of you know it. So I'm not getting into the routines of sustainability, green and all of that. What is very important today is intention. When you talk about ESG, we are only talking about environment. Everybody talks only about environment. They are not talking about social, they are not talking about governance. If you have good governance, E will fall in place. S will fall in place. Who all followed Mr. Subramaniam, chairman of L&T statement of 90 hours? Right? Don't stare at your wife, right? What are you saying? Or the other way around too. But I reacted not by emotionally reacting to him. Everybody has a context. I know he doesn't mean what he said. What he wants to make the company great, everybody has to do more number of hours. He was brought up by A.M. Nayak, who lived in his office. He never went home even. So it is like your leader, how you want to behave, right? But life is changing, right? In your BRSR report, how many of you know BRSR report? Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting. It is the new SEBI regulation from last year. 1,000 listed companies have to report sustainability reports. And it is going to increase to 5,000 companies, listed companies in the next 2-3 years. Then every company will get incorporated. What does it say? Is basically ESG. I look at ESG report, which is BRSR report of L&T. They have employed 407,000 workers, which includes employees and workmen. Out of that, 7,300 are women. And they are saying we want to increase And very smartly they did it, which is where I am a ESG proficient director. I look at these reports very, very carefully, right? Out of that, only 80,000 are permanent employees, balance are all temporary workers. They want to say only employees, they want to increase it to 10% women gender inclusion. But if you calculate total, it is only 1.73%. So see, this is where corporates do greenwashing. So when I come to intention, governance is about intention, right? I met, you must have read in companies King's Code of Governance. Who all know King's Code of Governance? Corporate governance started way back, right? We are talking about in India in the last 20 years. Mervyn King was the Supreme Court judge in South Africa. So I was in South Africa. And anyway, for information, I lived in Rwanda, Indonesia, South Africa, Hong Kong. Right? We will come to that story later. But I met Mervyn King. He said, "Sir, you are recognized as one of the leaders in corporate governance, King Code of Governance. It's a document that everybody should read on governance." He said, "Sundar, don't get into this English concept of governance and all that. If you have a good intention, everything will fall in place. As a board, as an MD, if you have a good intention, everything will fall in place." My father was a factory worker, but he made sure he will never borrow money. He never drank, he never smoked, right? So I had to study in a municipal school. We could not afford private schools. So I started working at the age of 17 as a typist. You know, typical Tamil Brahmin boys, we are all taught after 10th grade. We have to learn typing, shorthand, right? If you are a girl, you have to learn singing, you have to learn Bharatanatyam. These are all standard formats. Am I right? And it happens in every state, right? In each format. So you come from that background, and for you, when you look at money, money is the precious element today for a lot of people, majority of people. So when you want to bring any concept new, talk to them in money terms. So Indian corporates, if you tell them, "Sir, you have to do this, you have to do governance, this greenery, this sustainability," you give them all of that. 80% of Indian companies are promoter driven, family driven companies. Sir, he will say, "Sir, what is in it for me? Why I have to spend money?" So I tell them, look at 5 things. How ESG can improve your value. Then he will look at it. "Sir, will I get money?" I say, first, if you implement good practices, your top line will grow. How? I used to supply to Marks and Spencer living in Indonesia or South Africa. They will not look at my fabric or my garment. They look at my processes. What chemical am I using? What raw material am I using? So I'm talking 25 years back. So that thought process, when you start looking at it, byproduct is your product, your fashion product. And if you are complying with all of that, they will give you more orders. You go to Bangladesh, I used to supply to Primark. It's a large retail stores in UK. He called me one day when I was in Hong Kong, I was the CEO for the company. Sridhar, you will get some NGOs coming as journalists, and they will have hidden cameras. I'm talking 20 years back. They will have hidden cameras to go around your factory, which worker is having problem, whether their seats are good, whether it is reclining, tailors in my garment factory. Fortunately, we were a multinational company, so we had good standards. But the same guys will not go to China, and they will buy Chinese product, which I have been in China many times. They used to have dyed drums, you know, the chemical drums. That used to be the seat for the lady to stitch your garments. Now, what are we talking about sustainability? And when China reports $1 trillion trade surplus day before yesterday, in 1 year, you can imagine what happens. Fortunately, this new president is a chemical engineer. He closed down 250,000 chemical companies which was making pollution. So it needs intention. So if any promoter wants to implement these things, intention should be right. So first is top line growth. And you reduce your cost from your coal-fired boiler, go to biodiesel. It reduces your cost. Then your regulation will not hit you, the environment pollution. You know, West Bengal government was punished with 1,300 crore fines. West Bengal government was penalized 1,300 crores by the environment body because they did not separate the wet waste versus dry waste. So nobody, even a government can be penalized, right? Number four, you can retain your people, your productivity goes up. Today you go to BPOs or IT companies, all of you love working there. What do you work for? Need a good climate, good water facilities, go into a toilet, you have a clean toilet. People don't want just salary alone. You need a good environment to work, so your productivity goes up. And lastly, you put your assets into maximum profit. So these five things, if a promoter is able to be demonstrated that is going to increase your profits by doing the right thing on sustainability, ESG, yes, I'm going to do that. Then as an investor, I was a private equity investor. I used to go to these companies and say, I will put my money provided they do these things. So it is sir, I will do. So you have to incentivize certain culture with certain things. You can't have same standard for everybody. If I go tell Dukanwala here, he said, there is no dustbin. Now you tell him, I will give you 10 rupees every day you collect from that garbage. He himself will invest that money and put it. So every culture needs certain thing, right? I lived in Rwanda, the factory workers used to come drunk on banana peel. You can't stop there. And I used to teach the guy computer in 19, I was in Rwanda. And the guy hand will be shaking. I used to hold it, intimidated the moment you see it. Soft people, very nice people to work. I lived up in Africa. And this guy did a great job. And he stopped drinking. I said, after 5 o'clock, you please go. I will also come to have banana bread. Just motivate thing in governance. The governance includes your environment, social, everything, right? So Subramanian would not have made a comment if a little conscious, my God, I'm going to hurt a lot of people. You can do what you want. You who asked you to go home, you 24 hours a day, but all of us have our own lives, right? Second is financing. If you have to make certain changes, everything needs funds. Forget the Mahindras and Tatas, they all are flooded with money. Small company which has got 100 people working, making plastic cans or bottle, they don't have money to convert suddenly from one equipment to other equipment. This is where I wrote to the Reserve Bank of India. All of you talk about supply chain and all of that. Give them a target. When you lend a loan to a company, give them a target. What is your ESG? What is your environment waste? Can you stop it? How you will stop it? And what is the money you need? You need 5 crore to convert coal-fired water into biodiesel. I will give you that money on a long span. But you ensure every year he gives you a report how much emission he has saved. So you need to go down to that level because 70% of Indian companies are small and medium enterprises. The big guys, they are actually using all the small guys to supply to them. And today what is happening in your sustainability, you are talking about circular economy, your supply chain, scope 3 emission. How many of you know scope 3 emission? So when you all talk about sustainability, let us not forget to get some basic understanding. Scope 1 is what you emit from your factory. Scope 2 is you buy electricity to run your factory, that is scope 2. Scope 3, the moment you buy raw material, whatever that has gone right from the beginning of extraction until it reaches your factory and until it reaches your customer, and the customer disposes it off. That is the entire chain is called scope 3. Not many companies, only 2% or 3% of Indian companies can report scope 3. Well, very difficult to monitor. Just think of a shipping line and we have JNPT port. Now, you know what the customers in Europe are asking? Please give me in your invoice, what is my emission on my container? So I'm part of a ESG company. We have a tech platform. The moment my customer order comes in, the goods are manufactured, we monitor the entire emission for that. We convert into CO2 and we give, this is the container in the ship. And the ship is carrying 1,000 containers or 10,000 containers. And ship is traveling from here to Denmark. And what is the distance it is going to emit? And per ship, per container, we print out in the invoice and tell the customer, this container, this is the emission. Can you imagine what I said? Can you realize? Every container, we can print an invoice that this is the emission of my container reaching your port. This is happening in India, not anywhere. Indians have started doing it. Large companies have started doing it. So scope 3. So anybody presenting sustainability and all that, please get your scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. These are standard definitions. How do we convert the data? Biggest problem in Indian companies, not in the Indian company. I've seen the word data. Data is sitting in every table. It is an Excel format or some notebook. But how do you get the data into collectible format and how do you interpret the data? I spend a lot of time in garments and fabrics. So I look at the uniforms. If you are wearing this particular uniform, what is your perspiration level? Now, when I went to a company, I looked at that solid polyester, which was unbreathable. And the uniform was for the workers. Then I asked, you know what? You are having so much AC and all of that because your uniform. He said, how do you know? I said, I can make out your fabric is not breathable. If you are not having breathable, you increase your AC consumption, all of that. I stopped wearing suits. This is much better for me. Because when I wear a suit just to give a feel, it's not going to help. And Modi ji helped me with the Modi jacket. Now, what can I get you? So, we do a lot of things. Okay. How much time do I have? Another 5 minutes? Okay. 11:30 I'm good, right? Okay. Now, innovation. We come to innovation. Intent, we talked about it. Financing, we talked about it. Innovation. Now, India, unfortunately, until 15 years back, we were not in the radar. Today, we have more startups coming with the solutions. It does not matter, we need to come from IIT Madras. By any chance, friends have had a startup. Few. Very, see, this is the starting point. Yesterday, my son from Hong Kong, he was for a private equity fund, that my classmate in Hong Kong has a company which makes boats, and this is unmanned boats which can take all the garbage out of your lake or the sea or of that. Or it can even clean the oil leak and all of that. So he said, very cheap that they do. Why don't you offer him? Can you help him? I built 16 boats in Meghalaya, in JNPT, all of that. There's a young guy who's my son's batch, who's 26. And he's got funding from private investor, venture capitalist. Uncle, can you put me to somebody? I said, I know somebody in the environment ministry. This I go right at that level because I'm made in India. We are not doing it in Hong Kong or anywhere, made in India, unmanned vehicle. Then I had invested in a company in Chennai who was 22-year-old engineering guy who did a company. And he had passion for flying drones at the age of 14. He developed drone by 18. And what is the drone? It's not building the drone is important. Autopilot is the most important thing in a drone, which India never had an autopilot. We used to import from outside. This guy developed the autopilot system. What happens? He says, I don't want to take just, he comes from imaging background. He says, this is a rundown business for me. Imaging, everybody does it. You go to mines, you go to ports, everybody is using drones, even your weddings, everywhere. I would like to, I'm talking 8, 9 years back. I would like to load this with a pesticide to put pesticides in mango farms, tea estates. You know, how many deaths happen because of this, if you remember, at the back, they will have what makes it chemical, lot of dangerous chemicals. Now, this guy said, I want to solve that problem. And certain tea estates, India is great in tea and coffee estates, people don't reach up to that level. It's just remotest hills. And he developed this drone which will go and identify where are the insects that are planted. You can't spray everywhere, you're wasting. And then you develop an autopilot route. Then another drone goes with the 5 kilo of that and then goes and sprays on top of each plant. Now I'm talking 8 years back. From there, this guy is today, his technology of GPS and autopilot. Mahindra is developing a driverless car with this technology. And I told him, Venkat, you better finish your engineering. And it took 3 years to complete it. He said, I value this company at 25 crores. I gave him 10 crores 6 years back at the age of 22. So we have brilliant ideas. Innovation is going to be the key. And what happened in a 10-acre, 100-acre of rice farm, your spraying pesticides and water consumption was the maximum. He reduced water consumption by 90%. Now, he did not know that he was only bothered about the technology. I said, think from this angle, you saved 90% of water. Immediately that became the selling point, right? And cafe and large companies started using this technology. So, innovation, I think batteries. You can hear me.
Yes.
Right, I love it. So, innovation is the key. How do we innovate? And when you innovate, keep the concept that I don't want to use any resources which is going to be damaging to society. Right? Your children. If you think of your children, your grandchildren, you will never do it for your enjoyment? No. Your next generation. I want to keep this money to keep my son in a good college, in a good school. And I want to see my grandchildren. So Indians by nature have this habit of family to protect the wealth for the family because they're all emerging economy. Right? All of us have come from that level. So keep that and then that wealth you can protect it in a sustainable way. Do not invest in companies. When I was an investor, I had 5 principles. One is negative list. No alcohol, no tobacco. So I will not invest in any company that is there. Or theme-based, if it is electric vehicle or any of that. If it's a chemical company, only oleochemical, green chemical, no synthetic chemical. No coal-fired boilers, I will not invest in the company. As an investor, how do I influence the promoters to get into that? At the end of the day, they need money. And as an investor, investors look like this. This is how they categorize. And I had a lot of Jain investors in my fund. They said, sir, no meat. Right? Do you know how many of you know in NASDAQ, there is something called halal index? Do you know? Now, for your information, NASDAQ has an index called halal index. Middle Eastern guys, when they go invest in the US, they cannot invest in alcohol, right? And there are leather. So there is an index for halal index. We need to, and we are going to get sustainable. In the US, there is already sustainable index there. The stock market, these are all sustainable rated companies. We are all getting there, but we need to move forward in a much better environment rather than following Europe model or Western model.
We have our own models which we can inculcate. In 2014, when the Prime Minister said Swachhta Bharat, people laughed. But today, when UN releases a report, 300 million women have not had disease in the last 5 years, certain type of diseases because urinary tract infection, all of that because tell you what you should do. Is but we have to find ways. Because we have to find a solution for that guy where we migrate this. You know, so that and Botswana has 1:2 has we changed it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for what's visible. You've certainly given the day-to-day examples from everyday life. And shown us that sustainability is not just a big, grand technical term, but a daily practice as part of a culture. So on behalf of BSIT, I extend my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed keynote speaker, Mr. Daniel Ma, for gracing this occasion with an insightful and inspiring address. I also express our sincere gratitude to our esteemed chief guest, Mr. Sridhar Ramachandran, for his gracious presence and guidance. Thank you. We learn from your experience. We shall now take a short break of 10 minutes and we resume with the panel discussion. This I am sure you're eagerly waiting. Thank you.